keep it real. You ought to be ashamed of yourselves for making this film. The ancestors are literally rolling in their graves after this mess. Hey everyone, it's Sharana from Pay or Wait, and today I'm going to be reviewing Antebellum, which hits VOD September 18th. This film is written and directed by Gerard Bush and Christopher Renz, and it centers around successful author Veronica Henley, who finds herself in a horrifying reality and must figure out the mind-bending mystery before it's too late. So this is actually one of those films that I tried my best not to know anything before going in. So I never had the chance to watch movie trailers. You know, I don't watch movie trailers, but I really tried to avoid the buzz surrounding Antebellum because I wanted to just go in with a clear slate and a clear mind and not try to make, you know, any theories or, you know, I think this looks like this or I feel like this is where they're going with the movie. I just wanted to go into the film with a clear mind. And so for those of you who are new to my channel, I tell you what I liked about the film, what I didn't like about the film, and should you pay or wait to see this film when it hits VOD on September 18th. So going into what I enjoyed about Antebellum, one of the first things that I immediately noticed after I got through the first like 8 to 10 minutes of the just pain and trauma as the movie begins, and I'll get into that a little bit later as we get into the cons of the film, is I really did enjoy the costume design. And so Mary Zophris, who's behind the costume design for Antebellum, I actually want to say, because I believe this is Gerard and Chris's, this is their first full feature debut as directors. I wanted to say that I thought it was pretty impressive to get a costume designer like Mary on board to their first full feature. If you're not familiar with Mary's work, she's responsible for the costume design on films such as Gangster Squad, Catch Me If You Can, La La Land, The Ballad of Buster Scruggs, Interstellar. Like, there are so many movies. I can't even take the time to name all of the movies that Mary has done costume design for, but I will have to say that the costume design looked very well, the patterns, the colors that were chosen out, but most specifically with Janelle Monáe's character as Veronica. I love when we kind of see her in present day as this best-selling author. I really love the costume choices for her character, the vibrant colors that she wore, just the outfits. She looked absolutely stunning and amazing throughout the film. And also too, I will have to say that even though this is their first full feature, I thought that it was a very well shot film. And I want to give credit to the cinematographer, Pedro Luque, who's work from Extinction, Don't Breathe, doing the cinematography also on The Girl in the Spider's Web. I thought that there were some really amazing shots that happened. Like, yes, pause this right here, take a picture. This looks absolutely stunning. One of the most standout performances for me in this film is Gabriele Sidibe. So her character is like a pro and a con, because I enjoyed her character so much that I was just like, this was a wasted opportunity not to have her throughout this entire film. It's a very short performance. And really, once we get into the nitty gritty of how the writing doesn't work, it almost makes it seem as though her character doesn't necessarily fit into this film or the way that they actually use her character. But what I will say is when she's on screen, she's very charming, she's charismatic, and she made me laugh. I was just like, man, after all this pain and torture, I'm glad that I at least got a just realistic laugh from all of the dialogue that Gabrielle, her character, she's like this relationship she's this relationship expert. And so there's a very interesting scene that happens throughout the course of the movie that I absolutely loved her in. And as for the performance of Janelle Monáe, I think that she does fine with what's given to her, but I don't think that there was a lot for her to do. I think that she definitely arises to the occasion and definitely takes charge, and she has some standout moments in Antebellum, but due to the writing of the film, kind of this world that they're in, they can't speak. And I think that because this dialogue is taken away from her for most of the film, it didn't leave like this memorable performance for me. But I don't think that that's any fault to Janelle. I just think it's that fault of the writing of the film, of this narrative as a whole. Now, that's pretty much all that I really enjoy Antebellum. I had a lot of issues with Antebellum as a whole, but the writing, the narrative of the film is really where this film begins to fall apart. So as you're watching the film, I would say I was invested in the film. I'm kind of just like, I feel like they're going to go here, but I'm not sure. Like, it kept me engaged, wanting to figure out what is this twist that they're building to, because you're trying to understand the world that you're in. You're trying to understand how all of these characters came to be around one another. And then when the twist happens, you're just like, wow, really? That's the twist? Like, that's literally the twist of this film. And that's where the film completely falls apart. And so I'm going to have to be vague about this because it is going to be a spoiler-free review. But for me, once I get to the twist, it totally negates everything that I saw in the first half of the film. And I want to get into the discussion surrounding when we have films about slavery, right? Where we have films where we see people killed, we see people raped, we see people violated. And that is the biggest issue that I do have with Antebellum. And so I will say, for some of you, those scenes like that are a bit much. I would definitely say that this movie may not be for you. And most importantly, the first 8 to 10 minutes of the film, when I say that they just get straight out of the gate with the realities of what slavery looked like, it was a very hard and very traumatic way to really start this movie. I would say that it sets the tone for what you are about to see. But after the twist doesn't work out, it makes all of the torture, the rape, everything that I saw throughout the film, it makes it unnecessary. It makes it come off brutal, as if I literally was taking notes and I wrote like black torture porn. Because the twist completely falls apart, and once you realize how everyone has gotten to where they're at and kind of where all of this takes place, it just makes you feel as though that you were watching a film not to really give a call to action, not to really educate or to prove some type of narrative point with the script. It really just left you feeling like I had to sit through this film surrounding slavery, surrounding a lot of torture and trauma for entertainment purposes. And so for me, the issue with that is, as you understand the twist and you get to understand who the key players of the film are, you are left with the same questions that you had when you started the film by the time the film is over. There's no real character development for any of the characters throughout the film. You learn a little bit more about Veronica, since Janelle Monáe's character is like the main star of the film, but there's nothing to really help you understand why this is happening to her, how she's been in this predicament for this long, and really just the lesson behind it. As the key players who are kind of are villains of the film, you never get to know anything about their characters. You never get to learn why they're doing the things that they're doing in the film. You never get to understand the bigger picture of this world. There's no real world building around this circumstance that Veronica has found herself in. And as you get to understand the twist, when you think that they're actually going to when they're going to give you the information, help you understand why you've been watching these people be tortured for the first hour of the film, because I think it takes about an hour for you to really understand what is happening and why it's happening. You're left down. There's no fallout. There's no explanation as to anything that is happening in the film. And that's where the film as a whole, it's a mess. It's just a mess. And when you're having films like this that center around racism, that center around slavery, that center around Black pain and trauma, there has to be a purpose on why you're doing this. There has to be a reason that we're watching these images. There has to be some type of message that you want to leave your audience with. And really, after watching Antebellum, it just made it seem like it was for nothing. There's no explanation, no development, just a lot of pain and torture with no real payoff or no real call to action at the end. So for me, I just felt like Antebellum was a waste of my time. And what I would tell you guys to do with you and your coins for Antebellum, I would tell you to wait. Now, look, that's my opinion. I always tell you guys, if you want to watch something, if you want to form your own opinion, you can definitely go do that for yourself. But what I would be telling people, if they're asking me, should I spend my coins on Antebellum, I would tell you, definitely don't do it. It's a waste of time. But I do want to give a call to action of these films, because there's always this huge debate when we talk about why in 2020 are we still making these slavery films, films centered around slavery. I think that there's still stories to tell. I think that there's different ways that we can tell their stories without always having to show Black pain, Black trauma. There's still Black love that happened. There's still family that happened during this time. And there's still stories that need to be told that a lot of people don't know about. But if you're making these films, if you're going to try to be as realistic to the times as what was happening back then, to the brutality that Black people experienced, let it be for a purpose. Because when you don't have a purpose, when you don't have a message that you're really trying to give to the audience, it makes it seem as though you made a film filled with Black pain and trauma just for everyone's entertainment. In slavery, there's nothing entertaining about that. And so those are pretty much my thoughts on Antebellum. As always, my name is Sharonda from Pay Your Weight. If you like what you saw today, make sure you hit the like button, hit subscribe, share this video with your friends, and make sure you hit that notification bell. And I love you guys 3000. And until I see you again, bye.